The Seattle Seahawks are openly talking about trading Russell Wilson now. Mike Silver of NFL Network says that 1/3 of teams around the NFL have called the Seahawks asking about a Russell Wilson trade. And they were told it will be a minimum of 3 first-round picks, Jake.
Yeah.
Good, bad, what are your thoughts?
I think that, first of all, the fact that we're even having this conversation is beyond me. I mean, I don't know where or how you as an organization get to a point where you're like, yeah, we'll trade Russell Wilson. I don't understand how we're even saying that. This guy has taken and won a Super Bowl. He took you to another one and lost it to the Patriots.
On a terrible play call.
Yeah, why wouldn't we hand it off, as everybody knows? And so it leaves me in a position where I'm just like, man, like what are you guys doing? Like, why not? And remember, this all stems from the idea that Russell Wilson wants to be included more in roster decisions. We've heard this in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. We've seen it before with Tom Brady. The only difference was with Tom Brady, it never became a big deal because Tom Brady was winning and everything was great. And you notice what Tom Brady's always had. Pretty much has always had a great offensive line, which is what Russell Wilson wants. And I don't blame him. When you get hit as much as he gets hit, I'd want an offensive line too, especially as I start progressing deeper into my career and physically can't take as much of a beating. So I just think that this is the Seahawks making a fool of themselves. Rather than beef up your offensive line, you'd trade a Hall of Famer. It just is dumb to me.
I understand why they would entertain it. I mean, I think, let's be really honest, and I think this is part of the issue in sports is that we're not really honest about how, who, and where teams are. Like, where are the Seattle Seahawks? They're a good, not a great team. Where are they going? Well, nowhere right now. Like this offseason is really important for them. I thought last offseason, DK Metcalf, the way that they were able to throw the ball was great. But again, they didn't improve their offensive line.
Yeah.
So you have a guy that's a perennial MVP candidate who is getting hit a lot, and now he's vocalizing that. That's where they are. Where they're going is a great unknown. But I think if you're the Seattle Seahawks, you have to realize you are not one of the elite teams in the NFC. But the other thing you realize is that it doesn't take a long time to get there. When you are the Tampa Bay Brady's, all you do is go out and trade for Tom Brady and get Rob Gronkowski, and all of a sudden you're a Super Bowl winner. It's that easy, I think. It's not. When you are the New Orleans Saints and you have Drew Brees teetering on the verge of retirement, go get Russell Wilson and push Drew Brees into retirement. Because if you are the Saints, you want Drew Brees to retire.
Yeah.
If you are the Carolina Panthers, you're going to dump as much roster as you can to open up cap space for what you thought was going to be DeShaun Watson. Go give up 3 first-round picks if you're the Carolina Panthers to get Russell Wilson. But I guess my biggest question is, who's that one team in the NFL that can do this? Because I don't think there's any question, and maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it is, as crazy as it sounds, it's not the end of the world if you're the Seahawks to trade Russell Wilson.
Yeah, dude, I can't be even good with saying it. Like, dude, the guy is a Hall of Famer. The guy is the best quarterback that franchise ever seen. And you want to talk about trading this guy instead of just beefing up your roster? Like, okay, cool. So when you trade him, you're cool with not being good for a couple years, right? Like I hope the Seahawks front office has that understanding that if you trade for 3 first-round picks, you're not going to be good. You're not. It's going to be like a 3 to 5 year window where you're just not very good. And by the way, that division's only going up. I don't know if you saw what the Rams did. I don't know if you've seen that the Cardinals are getting better, but that division is only going up. And imagine if the 49ers were to get DeShaun, So I don't know. It just seems silly. You're going from contending to win a division to essentially being the worst team in the division by trading this guy. And look, I get it. It's not often that you're able to leverage a player for 3 first-round picks and possibly a 4th pick, which would be in the 2nd round. Not often that kind of situation is presented to you. But I guess to me, this is one of those situations where it's like it just doesn't make a lot of sense. This guy is a difference maker. He should be like legit, Russell Wilson is one of those few guys who I could honestly say, like, okay, I could see Russell Wilson being a lifetime Seahawk. I really could see that. He's got the legacy. He's done some great things for him. Like, why would you trade him? Is it just simply because you're upset that he went to the media? He went on the Dan Patrick show. What was that, like 6 weeks ago now or whatever it was, and talked about it? Are you that pissed about that? Is that what all this is about? Like that? So it just seems kind of petty to me overall.
I think there's a real good chance that's what they're upset about. I think that guys like Snyder and Carroll and the ownership in Seattle don't like being called out. And I think that's what Russell Wilson did. I think Russell Wilson has seen the damage that's being done to him. And I think he knows that he should have 2, not 1.
Yeah.
I think he sees that in Seattle, they're further away from a Super Bowl than they are closer to it.
Agreed.
And I think when you see the Rams go and get Matthew Stafford, I think the 49ers are doing everything they can do to get, DeShaun Watson, and they're going to do it. If I'm Russell Wilson, I'm looking for an exit hatch as well, because I don't. You know what the problem is? I don't feel like Seattle, as an organization, values Russell Wilson. I think Russell, his entire career, has flown under the radar. Mm-hmm. I think he does not get the respect that he deserves. Everybody talks about Tom Brady as an MVP. Russell Wilson is as good a quarterback as exists in the NFL. There are a few that I would take over Russ, and frankly, I don't know how many I would take over Russ. I mean, I'm taking Russ over Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Are you taking Russ over DeShaun Watson? I am.
Yes.
I am, absolutely. Like, who right now today, who's the best quarterback in the NFL?
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson?
Mahomes.
I think it's close.
It is close, but I would take Mahomes. He's younger. He's got more. He's got less miles on him right now, but and he's got a Super Bowl already.
He's another guy that's taken a beating, though.
He is. And I think when we compare Russell Wilson to quarterbacks, I think it's really interesting that he's able to be compared to guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and like the best of the best, because frankly, he's earned that. And this is like why this conversation is so asinine to me, because you're talking about a guy who is in the top tier of quarterback. I mean, Russell Wilson is Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson is Tom Brady in terms of play on the field. I'm not talking legacies. I'm talking play on the field today, right? He is with those guys. He's won a Super Bowl. He's done everything he needs to do. And what is he getting for it?
Not much.
We'll trade you for we'll talk to 30% of the league, and we'll tell them we need 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick, and there you go. You can have our boy. I mean, that's what happens. And so I guess my whole point here is just that I don't want to hear from Seahawk fans. I don't want to hear from the organization that we gotta get better after you trade him. I don't want to hear the political, the typical, front office, jargon about how, we just got to develop our young talent and then we'll be better. No, douche, you traded away your Hall of Famer, and now you're upset you're not good. Like, that's what's going to happen. If you trade this guy, inevitably, you're going to go in the draft, you're going to miss on one of those picks, you might hit on 2 of those picks, and, then I guess that's just where you are. Like, that's where that leaves you. By the way, what happens to DK Metcalf if you trade Russell Wilson? Is he going to be upset? You can't tell me he's just going to sit around and just be content with being on a crap team.
I would think not.
So, I don't know, man. This is just a really, organizationally speaking, this is a dumb thing to be doing. Like, this is not smart.
Well, but I think, again, this comes back to knowing who you are, knowing where you are, and knowing where you're going.
Agree, yeah.
And I for the first time, and I know this sounds crazy, I think that there is some real credence to, as a football organization, I think the Seahawks are faltering. And I haven't said that, and I don't say that lightly, because that's a hell of a football organization. Front office, all the way down. Ownership, all the way down.
Yeah.
But I think they are open to trading Russell Wilson. And I think it's crazy, but I understand why they're doing it. I think that if you trade Russell Wilson, it allows you to unload some of the guys that, you are going to have to pay a lot. Mm-hmm. I think it allows you to kind of hit the reset button. But here's my other question: if you trade Russell Wilson, do you wind up being the Dave Craig Seattle Seahawks? Do you wind up being the Kingdom Seattle Seahawks?
Do you wind up being the Seahawks that don't exist before Pete Carroll got there? Because that's essentially what you are as an organization. I think people forget about this. Pete Carroll's been there. I think he's been there now more than 10 years. Like, I think it's been over 10 years now. They were nothing before Pete Carroll got there. They were awful. I mean, you're talking about Hasselbeck years. Like, you're talking about not a good football team. And Carroll comes in. They're able to get Russ. They get DK. They do some nice things. They win a Super Bowl. They go to another one. Like, everything was cool. And I just, for the life of me, I feel like, and this happens in sports sometimes, where whether it is the NBA or Major League Baseball, whatever it is, like, we hear athletes voice their displeasure, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, trade this guy. He's out of here. Done. Never mind the fact that he's one of the main reasons we've had success over the last 10 years. Like, that's the part I can't get over in sports.
Yeah, I just think that we don't respect the performance of guys like Russell Wilson enough.
Yeah.
I think we take them for granted. I think New England took Tom Brady for granted. I think if you look around the NFL, there's no doubt the Texans just assumed that DeShaun Watson was going to be there. I think we don't do enough to protect the quarterback. And I say this every time this comes up. If you look at Russell, if you look at DeShaun, you look at the quarterbacks that are on the market.
Stafford.
What do those guys have in common? They weren't given the support that they need, and it drives them to insanity. Matthew Stafford took a beating in Detroit. If they have been mediocre, you lost Calvin Johnson, like you haven't supported him with running backs and wide receivers. You look at Tom Brady, you've never given him a frontline, top of the table running back. He's never had a full complement of wide receivers that were elite. I mean, obviously he had Randy Moss. They didn't win a Super Bowl with Moss, right? He's had flashes. They've tried.
Ocho Cinco.
Didn't work out at all. Complete bust in New England.
Yep.
Right? They've tried with Antonio Brown.
Yep.
They've tried with all of these different guys, and it just hasn't worked. The one clear issue in Seattle has been that this team has not supported Russell Wilson with an offensive line that can really keep him upright. And especially since the Super Bowl, let's just say.
Yeah.
They've not been able to keep him upright.
Well,
and it starts with attrition. It starts with, you lose a guy like Marshawn Lynch who you took for granted.
Yeah.
You lose... You until DK, and I don't even know that I would put DK in an elite wide receiver status yet, but you haven't had go-to elite top off the defense wide receivers. Mm-hmm. It's been guys like Jerry Rice at the end of his career. It's been, and you've got good wide receivers. I mean, you've gone through guys like Jimmy Graham, who gave you some really good years in Seattle. There's no doubt about that.
Wasn't Percy Harvin a Seahawk for a minute?
For a minute. Percy Harvin was a Seahawk.
Yeah.
But you haven't. How many All-Pro wide receivers have come out of Russell Wilson's career?
They have.
How many All-Pro running backs have come out of Russell's career?
I mean, it's not many, man. It really isn't.
When have you had consistency on the offensive line? I mean, they have won despite their issues.
Yeah.
And this is the ultimate problem. And maybe this is where teams like the Arizona Cardinals are at. You've won. Not enough, but just too much. Mm-hmm. Because that piece of steak is dangling right in front of your nose. And you feel like you're just about to grasp it.
Yep.
And you're not. And I look at the Seattle Seahawks that way. And sometimes winning a Super Bowl is the worst thing in the world that happens. Because it's really hard to win another one. And they got there. They were on the doorstep of winning another one. And one of the worst play calls in history happened. Right? So... you've paid Russell Wilson good money. You've paid him at the top of the NFL for a moment, but you haven't supported him.
Yeah, and looking at his contract situation, I guess this kind of makes sense too. He's got an out after the 2021 season, so he's in that situation. But the thing that I'm looking at here is the annual number is in the 30s, and I think that for Russell Wilson, he understands that he could potentially Like, if Russell Wilson hit the open market, he'd be a $40 million a year guy. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if he was a free agent right now, today,
Yeah.
I mean, they'd tag him multiple times. I don't see that. If he were a free agent, in some crazy scenario, if he became a free agent, I think he would be. He'd be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
So my point just is that if you're Russell Wilson, you have the confidence and the understanding that, hey, like, I'm going to be in a good spot. Like, the teams around the league value me. I've done a lot of great things. And if my time in Seattle is done, my time is done. And I think that's the attitude he's kind of taken, which has kind of facilitated this.
But do you understand how good this guy is? Like, do you think anybody really appreciates how good Russell Wilson is? I mean, this guy, I'm telling you, this guy is the best of the best.
Yeah.
He is elite. He is...
By the way, it should be noted he does have a full no-trade clause in his contract, so he has some control in that sense, too.
Yeah. He is really good. You know, he is... There's no better human than Russell Wilson. He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year. Right? I mean...
That's what I'm saying. This is stupid.
But I understand it. I think that there just comes a point, and I'm not saying Russ is there yet. By the way, I don't think they're going to trade him. Let's just be honest. But I think there comes a point where you have to trade DeShaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
They aren't there yet, though.
The Seahawks are not where the Texans are.
No.
And I don't think you have to trade him.
But what I will say is I think that the going from where the Seahawks are with Russell Wilson to where the Texans are with DeShaun can happen very quickly. Like, very quickly. That situation in Seattle could go it could be literally parallel to the Texans situation really quickly. So that's why it's just really interesting to me. Like, it came out of the blue when Russell Wilson went to the media about it, right? And everybody knew, it was no secret that the guy was, he was getting beat up in these games. It was no secret.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, there's a difference between getting beat up in a game and trying to work with the front office and then going out to the media. And Russ says that he had multiple conversations with Pete Carroll. He met with the front office and felt like they just didn't, care too much. And that's what caused him to go to the media. And so when you come out and you explain that whole thing on a show like Dan Patrick, a nationally syndicated show that is, a powerful brand, people listen to that show. Yeah. That's definitely going to rock the boat.
Yeah, but I the boat needs to be rocked in Seattle. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like, I was looking at their roster build last night, and their offensive line is not good.
Yeah.
I mean, their running backs are okay, but you need DK Metcalf to continue to have huge seasons. Like, just looking at their wide receivers, like, I like Tyler Lockett. I mean, he's a good, not great wide receiver.
He's solid.
I like David Moore, who's a good, not great wide receiver. If you look at their wide receiver group, DK Metcalf is the guy that is everything you want. And
Yes.
and Tyler Lockett fits in very nicely underneath and behind him.
Yes.
Right? But if you look at their tight ends, is Will Dissly ever going to be an elite tight end?
No.
Is he an elite tight end now? He's not a bad tight end. I'd love him on the Chicago Bears.
He's not crappy, but there's a difference between being good and being Travis Kelce, and he ain't Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and I think you need an elite tight end.
Yeah.
I think you do. I look at their offensive line. I mean, they have got to invest in offensive line. I look at their running backs. Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde and Rashad Penny are good twos.
That's a nice core. They don't have a grade A.
They don't have an elite running back.
Yeah.
They don't have the skill players, tackles, wide receivers, running backs, to support an elite MVP candidate, perennial MVP candidate in Russell Wilson. They don't have the skill players in place to do that. And if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm tired of getting my ass handed to me, and I'm tired of not being an elite football team because I'm an elite football player. And it's what Nick Saban says all the time.
Oh, boy, here it comes.
Right? Well, but I'm serious. Elite people don't want to be around mediocre people. And mediocre people don't want to be around elite people.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because when you are elite and you are, performing at the top of your game, it is really difficult to look somebody who, for whatever reason, who's mediocre, average talent, it's really hard to look them in the eye and know, hey, are you making you're always questioning them.
Yeah.
Right? And mediocre people don't want to be around elite performers because mediocre people don't want to work hard. 9 out of 10 people never get their best because they're not willing to give their best.
Right.
To get your best, you have to give your best.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I say that all the time. People on my team at Yelp are tired of hearing me say that, but I think I've said that 10 times in the last week. To get your best, you got to give your best.
Yeah.
And so many people just are not willing to give their best. They're not willing to give 100. Do I always give 100? No. Does Russell Wilson on the football field? I believe he does.
Yeah.
I believe he does. That's why he's an NFL quarterback, and that's why I'm fat. It just is that kind of delineation in life. It is what it is. Anyway, if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, it's not the end of the world to trade Russell Wilson, but I wouldn't do it. Now, if you gave me 3 firsts and a second, if the Seahawks get 3 firsts in Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll answer the question, the absolute one team that should be trading for him, in my opinion, the New England Patriots should do everything they can do to get him because he is a replacement for Tom Brady.
Yes.
And he doesn't care about being the guy that came in after Tom Brady.
No. Because he's just as good.
Look, I'd love the Bears to go get him. They're never going to do that.
That ain't going to happen.
They're never going to do that.
That ain't going to happen.
Right? I mean, I would. There are places I think he'd be great fit in Miami, Carolina, Houston. Those teams are not on his level.
Pittsburgh.
Oh, he'd be great in Pittsburgh. But see, this is the thing. Not to belabor this point, and I don't mean to go back to this. How many of these teams we're talking about right now have the balls to make a decision on Ben Roethlisberger?
2. The Steelers have the balls, and the Patriots have the balls.
I'm curious if the Steelers will bring back Ben Roethlisberger at any level. Because I wouldn't if I were them. I'd move on. You have a chance. By the way, Mike Tomlin tested positive for COVID yesterday. I don't know how many people saw that. So best of luck to Mike. But do we have a chance where you have what is still believed to be an elite head coach?
Yeah.
You have good talent on that roster. You have really good defensive talent.
Just need a quarterback.
Are you ready to move on? Are you ready to go make a trade for Russell Wilson? For DeShaun Watson? Are you telling me if the Steelers got DeShaun Watson, he wouldn't go there? Come on. He'd go there.
I do agree he would go there. Yeah.
I mean, if you're DeShaun Watson and Carolina's on one phone and Pittsburgh's on the other.
Pittsburgh.
I'm probably going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Pittsburgh.
Right?
Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't know that the Steelers in their current incarnation have the balls to cut Ben Roethlisberger loose.
It's definitely time, but I think that that conversation comes up all the time in specifically in the NFL because you have to be so cold-blooded. Like you can't hesitate in situations like Roethlisberger. You got to move on. I mean, the guy is just he's done. Like he really is done. Like that. Like as much as people joke about saying that about Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger is clearly years behind Tom Brady.
Listen, Barry, I love you.
Oh God.
But Barry's like, how come you're not talking about how testicle-less the Chicago Bears are? I just said that,
dude.
I just said that. And I know you're probably just tuning in because you're old and you sleep in a little later after, and you don't turn the show on until you get your Muslix. We get it. Why aren't the New York Giants? Is Daniel Jones a forever quarterback? Give me 3 first-round picks in Daniel Jones for Russell Wilson.
See you later.
Let's do it.
See you later.
Right?
Yeah.
Giants don't have the balls to do it.
Nope.
There aren't many teams who do.
Is it really that ballsy of a move, though?
Oh, my God. To trade 3 first-round picks and your starting quarterback to go and get another quarterback. Yes. You better win a Super Bowl.
Well,
This is what I said about the Bears and Khalil Mack.
but if you're the Bears, it's good enough to get to a Super Bowl.
It's not.
It is.
Man, you gave up and you
But
crippled yourself.
What? Versus what? They're already a crap organization.
Right, but when you
take the
make
leap of faith.
when you trade 86 first-round picks to get a defensive end, you better be one defensive end away from going to the Super Bowl, and they were not.
Excellent strategy, sir.
Yeah, they were not. They were not. Right? So I look at the LA Rams. The LA Rams are a quarterback away from going to the Super Bowl every year. And guess what? Now they have a quarterback. They're going to win the West. I have no doubt about that. Right? I look at the Detroit Lions. They were never going to the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford or any other quarterback. That's not going to happen.
It kind of all went sideways when you told that little guy over there, Megatron, to kind of go piss off.
Hey, fuck off. Yeah. We're going to go get somebody else and stuff. Right? We're going to go get, I can't remember the guy, the little short 15, number 15, the wide receiver who plays for the Giants now, who was anyway, the point is, there are so few teams who are willing to do what it takes to win. And right now, when you have Russell Wilson, just get some offensive line help. That's all. It's not like the guy wants 20 wide receivers, 5 running backs, and 26 left tackles. The guy just wants a couple of tackles who can stay healthy and play football.
Here's the game plan.
Give me an offensive line.
That's the game plan. I'll just go home and bang Sierra, and you'll never hear from me except on game day.
Yeah.
Right? I'm good with that.
Yes.
Bang, bang.
Yes.
I'm good with that. They won't do it, and I don't understand it. Well, we got to spend more money on old defensive players here in Seattle. Pete Carroll chewing his gum, all right?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Right? That's what I'm saying. By the way, how long do you ride with Pete Carroll?
For a while. Yeah. Because he's
like
a good head
90.
coach. He's good. He's not 90, dude.
Bro, he's in his 70s, late 70s, is he not? I mean, I could be wrong about that, I guess, but I'm pretty sure.
The White Sox hired Tony La Russa. I'm pretty sure that Pete Carroll can get it done in a football game.
Hey, he's 69. Right? I mean, he's 70 years old.
Cocaine and hookers, my friend.
Yeah, Pete Carroll has whatever. Hey, man, whatever Pete Carroll uses to get by every day, because it ain't bazooka, that whatever that gum he's chewing, it's probably got like weed in it or something.
How the fuck else would you do this job?
Yeah, like if you're Pete Carroll and you're 69, maybe hookers are the answer. I don't know. All right, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Some good comments. William from Draper, do you ever have anything good to say about our show?
First of all, before we read the comment, I just would like to say thank you, William, for continuing to comment. I do appreciate it, and I do appreciate you watching. Now, let's get to ripping your asinine takes on sports.
Monty, you spent 2 years in Salt Lake City saying that Colin Kaepernick was better than Russell Wilson. Now, all of a sudden, you're shining Russ. Well, at the time, I mean, I think Colin Kaepernick and Russell Wilson were very... Talk about a product of a terrible organization. At the time, the San Francisco 49ers were a really bad organization, right? I've said for years now that Russell Wilson is an elite quarterback who's a perennial MVP candidate.
Here's what Will's trying to do right now. Will's trying to hold your feet to the fire and take a comment out of context that was made 2 years ago about Colin Kaepernick. The thing that you don't want to hear, Will, is that Colin Kaepernick at the time was just as good as Russell Wilson. By the way, let's not forget, Colin Kaepernick dominated the Packers in the NFC Championship game, both on the ground and through the air. And by the way, he was one throw away from being a Super Bowl champion before his career was ended for taking a knee. So, let's not forget how good Colin Kaepernick was, because for the short time he was in the league, he was elite.
Yeah, Aresh says, I am a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. They can have Dak. I'll take Russ. Well, the Cowboys are another one that's just kind of hanging out there with Dak.
Well, they're going to tag him. I just
there's no doubt about that. The deadline is fast approaching.
I agree. I would take Russell Wilson over Dak Prescott, 100%.
Yeah,
I would.
And by the way, it looks like Dak is going to be well ahead of schedule on the recovery from that busted ankle leg
I'm
thing.
sure he is.
Yeah, he's going to be. I'm surprised it's gone on this long.
The contract thing or the injury thing?
The direction thing, like the relationship between Dak and the Cowboys. You can't tell me, and this Russ plays into this as well. DeShaun plays into this as well. Mm-hmm. You cannot tell me that the relationship between the quarterback and the club in these situations isn't permanently damaged.
Well, I think the Dak thing is interesting because the fact is we really just don't know. Like we don't know where he is with Jerry. You know, are they on the same page? Are they on the same page with the idea that, hey, we're going to tag you this year and then we're going to get you the contract next year? Are they not on the same page? Is Dak just sitting waiting for a call about, hey, why don't you come in and we'll sign this deal? Or, hey, we're going to tag you. Like, is Dak in the dark on things, you know? Like, with the Cowboys situation specifically, I think we just have no idea. But, yeah, with the DeShaun situation, we know exactly what's going on. We know why this relationship is strained. And I do think that DeShaun is committed to sitting this year out if he's not traded. I legit think that he's going to do that to prove a point. And I think in terms of the Russell Wilson situation, obviously we just spent 20 minutes talking about it. I don't think it's 100% over or strained or anything, but I do think there's a bit of tension right now.
Yeah. DM from Marcus.
Wait, what?
I love spam DMs.
Okay.
Marcus says, I see you're a big fan of the National Football League. Buy 2, get 1 free jerseys. Authentic, straight from China. Thank you, Marcus. Let me go ahead and report that as spam and block you. Because I've tweeted this morning about Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I like football season and all the things that go with it.
Yeah, give me Chinese jerseys. It's fine. There you go. You're blocked. I get so much social media trash.
Mm-hmm.
I get more porn spam on Instagram.
Dude, it's daily, man. It's like those like you'll see the little request thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like 5-6 times a day. And it's like delete. Like it's just ridiculous, man.
Make sure you follow us on all of those social media platforms. Twitter, Instagram, The Monty Show. MONTY, The Monty Show is where you find me. You can find Jake at SLC Supercars, usually tweeting about superchargers on Yugo, but that's fine. SLC Supercars on Instagram and Twitter, The Monty Show. MONTY, The Monty Show on Instagram and Twitter as well.